Well, it's Monday, June the 15th, 2015. And I got myself my cup of coffee. And I usually sit out in the kitchen with my laptop. But that went bad. So now here I am in my dining room. And I'm saying, Lord, how come I can't get these thoughts? Now, every time I get on this computer, mine just goes like blank. Yet other times I sit out in the kitchen and I sit there with these, what I call, see this? My scratch notes. And I start writing. I mean, I got pages and pages of notes. I mean, I could type them up, but it's like, you wonder at times, I don't like feeling this way, because then it's like you're trying to get attention. Like, who am I talking to? Am I talking? The other day, I went back and viewed that series I got on there, The Narrow Road. One video struck home with me. I mean, it relayed to me something I didn't realize before. I said, why am I doing all this? And I listened to that whole I got four of them there now. And one of them, at the tail end of it, I mean, it moved me. My own words. Usually I don't. I don't like hearing my voice. I don't like seeing this video. I don't like putting that. Don't like putting myself out there. But it moved me to tears. I said, then Lord, if no one else views this or cares about them, it doesn't matter. I do. I like them. It helps me. I've had a bout lately. I may have shared it with you, may have not. No, I'll talk a lot more with Mary Vieto on the phone. And I know some of you can't do that, so I don't go there. We have to stick with our emails and go from there. But when we get on the phone, it's a lot different. I have shared with her about this last 3 years of just wanting to move to Georgia. I had retired in 2010, and from that point on, I began to seriously consider, which I should have done that before I retired, or made plans years before that, which I didn't do. Yeah, I learned a lot in the last 3 years. First of all, I realized my house wasn't in anywhere good shape enough to sell it, to get anything out of it. I had to upgrade all the electric, reamp the whole floors. You see, they're all brand new hardwood floors, and got tile in the throughout the kitchen and the bathroom and the laundry room. Upgrade electric, raised the roof. Now I sent you that picture. You all seen that. After you're doing all that, then you find out, you thought you had plans. I went down there twice, to look at real estate. First by myself, and then the second year, Irene, Eric, and I, and Danielle, and the baby went down there, and the kids went down. We looked at the real estate there, but we got there and found out we weren't financially ready to make any move like that. I hate to find that kind of stuff out. School of hard knocks, you know. So right now it's all changed, and everyone's now, I guess, have gotten weary from all this going to go, not going to go, going to go, not going to go, and you find out you don't have the money, and blah blah blah. Everybody's feelings have changed, and now nobody wants to leave. So here I am in New Jersey. Within the next 18 months, I have this house paid for. And I don't know when I'm going to be on that point. People say, well, God, Paul, you'll be 75. You're 70 years old and you think about moving? I don't feel like I'm 70 years old. I don't care what I look like. I know what I feel like, you know. And a lot of these thoughts have crossed my mind, and I'm just saying, God, what am I doing? Some people playing at this age are starting preparing their funeral and getting their wills put together, and they plan on dying. Like I said, my dad died at 62. I have outlived him by 8 years so far. So, will I die next year? This year? 10 years from now? 20 years from now? Then the question is, well, Jesus might come. Yeah, I do a lot of thinking on this area. I know long years ago in a previous marriage, this was 40 years ago. I was in an 8-year relationship marriage, had a couple kids in that relationship. So I'm sharing these things personally with you. And you know, I was so heavy into end times way back then, some 40 years ago, better, that I didn't even think to buy a house. Why would you do that? You know, Jesus was coming. It'd be a distraction. Well, needless to say, that marriage in, I was too heavy and all that stuff. Then I went to the other extreme, got into the world and everything else. But still, even in that, I never forgot the Word of God. He always was there. And He slowly brought me back to realization. That guy brought out in that one video, an evil servant says the Lord delays His coming. I don't say that. Or we get so involved with all the signs, and every time we turn around, you got a sign that says He's coming. A sign says He's coming. There's an earthquake. The sign says He's coming. Matthew 24 has been beaten to death, that chapter, and you can go on YouTube and you'll find millions upon millions of videos based on Matthew chapter 24 and the end times. When they say that, things would wax worse and worse, being deceived. We said that these events would increase, and we've seen them increase. But the one phrase that Jesus says in there, it really stands out in my mind. He would say there would be famines and there would be earthquakes in diverse places and wars and rumors of wars, and we hear that. And then he says this plain as day, but the end is not yet. So what is the end? How bad? I probably said this in one of my videos too. You probably heard me express an email, or you've heard it talking to other people. How bad does it have to get for Jesus to come? How bad would it be for us to really know that, oh my God, we're in the tribulation? But you got people saying that all over the web. They think we're in the tribulation period now. Think of it, for example. We know that this earthquake that's mentioned in the seals, the seven seals, on the sixth seal, there's the sixth seal, the earthquake, it's felt worldwide. Think of it. Here you are, you're sitting on watching the TV, eating your dinner or eating a snack, and you're watching the earthquake in Japan. Ask yourself, did you feel that? No, I didn't feel it. Now, I felt the one that happened down in Virginia. Marie and I both felt it. We felt it all down the East Coast. I believe Mary didn't feel it. She's down there in Miami. But those of you who live out in Colorado, like Cindy, and those that live in Washington State, like Mimi, and those that live in New Zealand, did you feel it? Did Virginia earthquake that we felt the 4.2 or something like that? We felt it. The Washington, the capital felt it. Matter of fact, the Washington Monument cracked from it. So I remember little Lee was sitting in his bedroom playing his video games, and he come running out saying, "Pop, what's that?" And I was talking to Mary on the phone at the time from Miami. And I said, "Mary, I gotta hang up. We had an earthquake." And that first time in my life, I felt this ground shake, and that's weird. You see the lights going back and forth, and the ground. You're sitting in your chair and you're rocking back and forth like that. I mean, it was a scary feeling. And you don't know, you didn't think, what do you do? Well, so I guess then the first thing you should have done was run outside, get away from all trees and major structures, and kind of get down on the ground. Get out away from structures and trees so they don't fall on you. Now, like I'm saying, many of you didn't feel that. But this earthquake is going to be worldwide. Everybody will feel it. We ain't felt that yet. We're not in the tribulation period. We're seeing like preludes to what it might be like. You go onto get into like Jason does that with his videos. He takes all the worldwide events and puts them all in one big video. Now it's happened over the last month. That's bad. It really shows things are really being worse. But the majority of those things you view in those videos, unless you lived in Texas and felt the floods, or unless you lived in over there in India when they had that major earthquake, unless you lived there. I mean, you're looking at. I know. I send these sometimes. I'll send this, share that video from Jason's video. I send it on Facebook, and people are like, oh, so what? I believe we've gotten immune to stuff with the increase of knowledge and men running to and fro throughout the earth. You know, knowledge would increase. I mean, Viva TV, satellite, God, everything. I mean, just like people don't want to hear it anymore. Unless you lived in Texas like this lately, the major floods they had down there. I mean, that was, and they keep saying it. Never have we seen this before. Never have we seen this before. It's like, God, how words does that have to get? Makes you all the more say in your mind, God, I don't want to be here for that. How will you escape all these things about ready to come on this earth? Tribulation as the world has never seen before. I know I give you everything I can in my videos, confidence and deliverance, and then also my other videos that have developed this to the point you realize that everything is our deliverance is not based on my performance. If it's based on my performance, I'm going to be left behind with the rest of the people. It was up to that. I don't want to frustrate His grace by sitting there trying to uh, follow someone else's lead as far as getting a bunker, stocking with food, arm yourself to the teeth, to defend your property and your family and all that. And that's going to be such a day. I don't plan for that. People say, "Oh, you ought to plan for that." I mean, there's guys. I forget the name. I won't mention the names. Well-known speaker, Steve. Yeah, Steve Quayle. Steve Quayle. I'll mention his name. Now he believes we're going through the tribulation period. So if you ever watch any of his videos, many times he gets together with Tom Horn. And I don't know, I believe he also got together with Messler at one time. They compare notes and stuff like that. But he believes without a shadow of doubt, and he mocks anybody that believes in this rapture or the deliverance, the snatching away. You know, he doesn't believe it. He believes we're going to go through it. So he's watching, praying in light of that fact that you're going to have to go through it. And it's just a matter of knowing where and when, how it's going to happen, and being prepared. He'll give you all his take on how to get prepared for such an event. I say, man, you don't even want to be here for this. I mean, there's the debate about the wrath of God. The first 3.5 years is not the wrath of God for those who believe in mid-trib. And that the last half is the wrath of God. Anytime God withdraws his hand from a people that has withdrawn from him first, it's his wrath. But it's his love. I mean, if that don't wake you up, God out of your life. I mean, you talk about everyday cares and affairs. I don't want to be. I got it on my refrigerator. It says on it unscathed. I keep that there. I have been unscathed. We had that major hurricane, Hurricane Sandy, that went through the New Jersey area. It went up the bay. I'm 20 miles from the bay. I live 20 miles from the bay. The eye of that storm went right up the bay. And I thought for sure we were going to be devastated by that. We got that whole hurricane comes right up the bay. Came up the bay, went heading west, and then took a turn, and then went up, started heading north, and then went northeast and devastated the northern part of New Jersey and New York State. We weren't unscathed. We had some twigs on the ground, No, I think the power went out for a few hours. That's about it. But we weren't unscathed. I had prayed. I said, Lord, and I saw that storm heading right there. I said, this is the worst I've ever seen in my life. I lived in New Jersey all my life. I've seen hurricanes in the past, years ago when I was a child, and I know what they can do. And that's always been the thought in my mind that one of these days, one of these hurricanes is going to make it up the whole East Coast and it's going to come directly into New Jersey. Well, this one did. It's called, I guess, was a combination of lows and highs. Talk about the perfect storm. And we were unscathed. I mean, the Lord said it. I was all concerned. He said one word, unscathed. And, and he fulfilled his promise. Now, there's your everyday trials and tribulation as he can deliver you from. Not only has he delivered you from everyday trials and tribulation, right? But he also has delivered you from the tribulation and the great tribulation. You don't want to be here for any of that. He delivers you. Like I said, based on the fact that he's an eternal fact, an eternal promise, established by God through the Son, the Father and Son, empowered by the Holy Spirit, to justification, sanctification, glorification, that he will not only promise to save us, but to sustain us throughout the trials and tribulations, and to, at the end of this life, should we be here before this tribulation period starts, to rescue from it. He's promised. We're not under his wrath. We're not children of wrath at that day come upon us, or children of darkness. You know, I mean, if how will you escape if you neglect so great a salvation? That's as great as it gets. He did it all. He did it all. He did it all for us. Now, if you want to go off and try to save yourself, now God has any love for you, he'll frustrate your human efforts. Every time I've tried to save myself, get concerned, worried, he frustrates it, my human efforts. And he always brings me back to the eternal promise. Why you think every time you see my videos, I always talk about this. I've been saying this. I went back years ago on cassette tapes I used to send to Mary and Ramon and Viet in Florida, and I was saying it back then. The eternal promise, Christ slain before the foundation of the world. That's our salvation. It's not about salvation. Get in Hebrews chapter 6. That was solved once for all. There's nothing you and I could have ever done. Here I am. I'm doing it again. See, I always feel as if I have to bring this fact out. And at the point I'm saying, people will probably get tired of hearing me say it. The Lord said, you keep on giving it. Because others dance around it, but they don't say it in this way. And they talk about salvation, Jesus, death, burial, resurrection, and all that. But this fact of eternal reality, and this what I call the breaking continuance which we're in, and he has to get us in heavenly places with Christ Jesus to see the totality of the past history, the present situation, and the future to come. And from that viewpoint, you see the promise. He promised. He promised. I hold him to that promise. Not only for the tribulation period, 7-year tribulation period, but I also hold the promise daily. There's no temptation taking you such as is common to all men, but God's prepared a way of escape that you might endure. I can endure everyday trials and tribulation. Well, I had to pause it briefly. Danielle had come in the house. Her Wi-Fi had dropped out, and she was trying to come in the house so she can pick up on her iPhone. And Eric earlier had done the same thing, come here to get a cup of coffee, so I paused it back then. And he came in and reported to me that up the road here, about a few miles up the road here, a tractor and trailer had flipped over and the guy died. So they got the whole road up there all roped off. And understand my son's a truck driver. And yeah, that doesn't bother him. You know, I had to go into ministering to him to give him some confidence, unscathed, how God would protect him in his trials and tribulation. I can't answer for others, but I can answer for those that God put in my care. My father, my son, and my daughter, my son-in-law, daughter-in-law, my grandchildren, my wife and I, and you who I share things with. I don't minister to you, I share things with you. We minister to one another. unscathed. God will protect you. You know, you see these tragedies, and you start getting the fearful doubts. I had to share with him how true love casts out fear. Fear is torment. Oh, torment. He's getting ready to go to work. He has to go to work by 11 o'clock. If I make a run up to Connecticut, we might be going down to Maryland with his truck, truck and trailer. I mean, he's talking about how he's had close calls. I say, yeah. When he doesn't know that, I don't share this with him. I say, when he has those close calls, the Lord brings it to my attention. He's out on the road, and he'll give me ways of telling me, stop, pray right now for him. So I do. And then I get reports later on how some lady was right in front of me. She slammed her brakes on, and I almost hit her and had to go around her. I think, oh my God. Now you hear about all these tragedies of these truck drivers. And I told him, well, you got to learn. I have to share some advice to him. What he takes on you give it. You give advice. Tell him, you got to drive in a defensive mode. You're protected, but these other people, got to protect you from them. Because they don't think you don't get behind a tractor. You don't have a tractor trailer behind you and slam your brakes on him because you don't like the fact that he's riding you too close. That's dumb. You don't want to do that. But then I told him you don't want to do it. You got to keep a safe distance between you and that car in front of you. I know you're trying to get there and you're trying to make time. Time is their money. So I said, just understand that. Got to protect you in every way possible. He's had several close encounters, like during the winter months. Boy, I pray a lot because usually with ice and snow, you see these tractor and trailers. Oh God, no. I have no fear. True love casts out fear, verse torment. I don't let that torment me. That's when my R factor comes in. I acknowledge him. I remind him of those things which are established between you and I. And I pray that every day. I mean, without fail. He always reminds me. So, apart from him reminding me, I probably would forget, but I don't forget. And he protects my wife, kids, cat, dogs, everything. I mean, he protects us. I mean, he promised. I hold him to those promises. Getting into to understand his promises. Those promises are steadfast and sure. It's like an anchor of the soul in the veil of the eternal reality, the eternal promise. And I think that I'm going to end that on that. It's 22 minutes long. It's just a little bit of ad-libbing here without notes and everything else. Like I said, I got plenty of notes here. God, it's powerful stuff. And they turn into articles, but then they turn into email, then they turn into videos that I send out to you. But I mean, every morning with my cup of coffee, which I took out there, so I got it with me, and I have a cup of coffee, and it starts to flow. Out of your inner being are rivers of living water. That was one of the thoughts. Let me end on that real quick. Now, how to quench the fiery darts. And he said he's able to quench the fiery darts. Evil's fiery darts. You know where those fiery darts come from? James says, chapter 3, the tongue, lid of hell. Our tongue. We fire out judgments and stuff, and there's fiery darts, and we're wondering where they're coming from. A lot of times they come from us, our own judgments. We're warned never to judge at all. Yeah, I wanted to get in that probably in another video. That's powerful what the Lord's been sharing me today. When I got in that the other day, when He showed that to me, I sat there and confessed all my judgments I had up to that point in my life against people, places, and things. And I said, Father, my God, forgive me for judging. No, yeah. And don't. Sometimes we try to justify, but God told me it's the righteous judgment. I have the right to judge. You don't want to judge at all. You get to the point where, like I say, He said He wanted to do it all. He does it all. Vengeance mine, saith Lord, I repay. Someone done you dirt, you're going to react to it. Like I said, don't let the sun set on your bitter wrath. Be angry, but don't sin. Don't act in your pain with that anger. Because if your emotion gets involved, your head says, see ya. and you do some of the stupidest things in emotional moments. When at that time, you should stop, be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow with regard to your wrath or your emotional response to a situation. And under your breath, say, Father, this is really upsetting me. What's your answer? And he'll give you a word. I'll take care of it. I got this. And you get a sense of peace and confidence about it. He's going to handle it. And sure enough, you see him handle it. Sometimes swiftly, sometimes it's long suffering to the individual that may have done you dirt. But in a period of time, he does deal with it. So I want to get in that maybe in another video, but that's all I want to share with you now. So that's it for June the 15th, 2015. So God bless you. I hope you got something out of this.